All right. Hey there. So this is going to be a pretty quick walkthrough of a new plugin that I wrote for the Killnote project that I've been working on. It's basically a record and playback UI automation plugin tool. And we'll go through all the different features and kind of show it in action. And so first thing, I'll just show the plugin project itself. This is Godot Valet. It's a project manager with a bunch of other bells and whistles, integrations with Cloud Code and stuff. And so I'm just going to launch into the project here. I'm going to click edit. And here's the plugin. It's up on GitHub, so you can just dig through it if you want, but I just wanted to show it here really quick so you have some context that I've added this plugin to my Killnote project here. So I'll edit this project. I think I have it running in the background, so let me close it if I have it open. Yeah. There we go. And so we'll edit Killnote, bring that over. Come on. And we can see here that I have the plugin installed, Godot UI Automation, and I don't really need to do anything with it in here unless you're running it from command line, in which case you'll probably want to come in here and configure what you want it, how you want it to run. But we're just going to run it in line with my application. So I'm just going to start up Killnote and just give you a little bit of context. Killnote is basically a note task tracking application that I've been working on in Godot. And full screen here, I've been doing some testing in the app with some imports and things. And so all I have to do is hit F12, and that's going to bring up my test manager interface. And here I can see all my tests. So I've got a bunch, and I'll delete this test here. And so I can record a test from here or run a test. And so I'm not going to run all, let's just run one. Let's run a resize card test. So I'll hit play, and this is going to set up Killnote in test mode. And so I have to have a little bit of some event handling in Killnote to say, hey, we're about to run some tests. And what Killnote will do is go, oh, okay, I'm going to maximize my screen. I'm going to I'm going to navigate to our debug test board, and I'm going to clear it. And then you can go ahead, and I'll call you back and let you know that you can run your test. And so what we just saw there, and I'll run it again because I was talking, is that a little reminder here, hey, don't move your mouse because that can impact the test. And it drags a new card onto the board, it resizes it, and the test passes. And we can see that test here. So if you have a whole bunch of tests under this category, we'll see all those. And so we were automatically navigated to our results tab for this last test run. So we'll go back to the test tab. And so from here, I can play the test like we just did, or I can click the edit button to edit this test. And that navigates me to the test editor, which collapses by default, but I can expand it and show the details. And here we see all the test steps. We can see how much time each test step is waiting. And by default, most test steps will take 100 milliseconds. But for keyboard typing, we have a reduced wait time. And then in some cases, you're going to want to increase that wait time if you're like navigating between pages or scenes or whatever it is. You may need to wait. I don't know if I'm going to show it in this demo, but like if you do a drag operation like I need to do here, or I take a card and I need to navigate to a different page. Here, let me set one up. So cases where I need to increase the weights are I drag this card and I'm going to hover it over this. And when you hover long enough, it navigates to that other page. And so we just need to instruct the recorder, hey, when I hover over this, I need you to wait for 2 seconds for this event. And then once I get to the other page, we can continue with steps. Things like that. From the test editor here, I can play each step one at a time. And so what happens is I click the next step button, it takes control of the mouse and it goes and performs that step, and then it brings control back to my editor here. And so the screenshot failed, so I have a comparison. We can look, and it looks like it's failed. The entire card is missing. That's why this is all red, and it's shifted. So let's reset the test here, and then we'll run it again. run it again, run it again, and it passed that time. And so what happened was I moved my mouse while I was demoing, and it caused the card to move unexpectedly, and so we got a failure. So that was nice. We get to see that. Here we can see the original screenshot if I want to, if I'm analyzing things and want to make sense of what's going on. And then we have a key that gets inputted here. Let's see if that'll work. Actually, Control Z it was undoing the resize. And then we're doing another screenshot validation, and it looks like, oops, I didn't hit the diff. Let's look at the diff. It looks like it was jittered here, and so what's happened is I've navigated away from my test board or changed the path here, so it's different. And so I need to look at that, like why am I in a different path? And it's probably because I'm sitting here messing around, changing things without realizing it. So otherwise, I can reset this, and then I can just hit play, and it will run through all the steps for me. There we go, it worked. And all the steps are green. I can delete steps from here. There's cases where if I do ASDF here and I've typed these characters, actually we're going to do a new recording. So I'm going to record a new test. We can see that Killanote reset our board. He cleared it for me, and I'm instantly in record mode. So I can do this, resize, add something new, drag my card over. And at any point there, actually, let's do it. I can take a snapshot. And so that gets added as a step, and I can view the steps as they're going. So now I'll come over here and drop it, and let's take a new screenshot of that. And then once I'm done, I can hit stop, and then I can hit play and play back that recording just to make sure everything's working. And there you go, everything passed, great. And what I was going to mention there is that one of the challenges we have is, I'm going to reset, is that during playback, if I added text to a card like this, a bunch of characters, it's going to record all of the, well, actually, dang it, let's just do it. I'm going to reset the tests. We'll add a card. We'll type here. And so we see that all these keystrokes get added as steps. And then if actually, here's a quick little feature. It's a setting that you can set. But if I stop without taking any snapshots, it automatically prompts me to take a snapshot for my final step. And usually that's what you want. So that's kind of neat. But what I'm talking about here is if I play this test, it's going to work. Or maybe it won't work. What happened there? Play and then not touch it. There we go. I was just moving the mouse. So it's going to play back all of the steps. They're all going to pass. But if I try to come in here and step through and then type each one of these characters at a time, the problem this particular setup in UI has, and maybe I'll improve this in the future, but right now it's going to fail because when I step, it tries to go over here and type that character, but it's expecting it to already have focus. And because I clicked over here, this card no longer has focus. And this is a problem with my app that I have to figure out how to improve and generalize for this tool. So the way I worked around that is, we'll reset here, is that I have this little checkbox if you hover over to tell you what it will do, and it's going to autoplay this step when stepping through. So I'll select all of these keyboard strokes, like so. I did a lot of them, of course. Come on. Well, actually, I'll just leave one to fail. That's fine. And so now when I step through and I get to that keyboard stroke, it's going to automatically run through all of those steps for me and then pause on the one that's not. And I think I have to reset and try this again. There we go. And I can run through all of those, and it should have just worked. Oh, that's a bug. I'll fix that. What's happening here is when I reset the test, it's resetting all of these selections, and it shouldn't do that. I thought I fixed that, so I'll have to make a mental note. Okay, so if you do find bugs, please report them. I'll get right on those and fix them for you. So what else? So we showed that. And you can hide the interface here on play, so the step editor disappears. You might need that if you have stuff down here in the right corner that you need to record. I generally don't. I'm able to work here in my app. We can collapse it, and then on close, We can see that we have our new test here. Now I can rename it. I can edit it, record it again, or just delete it. We'll do that. Okay, so that's the test manager page. I can run all my tests from here. We can look at the results, so we can look at failures. Those are more interesting. It has the comparison here. It has, you can jump right to the step count and it will show you where it failed. And then we can re-record, or we can replay a test from here. And each time you play it, it adds it as a new test run up at the top. All right. And then for settings, so we have a bunch of options. You can kind of change the speed in which you're running through your tests. The tolerance of your image comparisons with a few options here. There's the startup delay, which is when you start a test, how long do you want it to wait and remind you not to move the mouse? Maybe you've got some other things going on. So for me, 3 seconds is fine, usually. And then some more recording options in here. One of the things is that the entire mouse capture is pretty resolution dependent. So if you record on one screen and then move your app to a different screen that has a different resolution and run the test, there's a chance that they're going to fail because the mouse is clicking in the wrong spot. And so we just have some checks and things like that that we do to warn you if you're in a different viewport from when that particular test was recorded. And then we have default click delay and things like that. And then we have a lot of help, shortcuts, things, tips, and all of that kind of stuff. So it should be able to help you get going on things. And then an about page that is not that interesting. And that is the Godot UI Automation tool. It's open source. It's free. It's up on the asset library. It's in GitHub. And I'm fully supporting it right now. And there's a good chance that we'll invest in some additional features and things. I think the big thing that I'm going to have to look at next is just test suite management. Putting all these into, like, you can prioritize it by priority or prioritize it by something else. But I suppose if I rename this, I can just make this P1. And there you go. We have a suite of P1 tests that I can just click run on, and it works. And so it does take a little bit of configuration in your project to set up the signals that the test manager will call to say, hey, set up your test environment, and then we'll run the tests. And we can see ours passed here. But that's not necessary, but recommended if you don't want it to mess with your other stuff in other configurations and content that you have going on in your app. Anyway, that's it. Cheers, bye.